Look at this computer. There we go.
There we go.
Um, all right. I've got 8:35. Sorry about being late. It looks like this is our group for this morning. Welcome. I actually changed the topic, and the topic now is how to regulate your Zoom account.
Oh, that's good. That should take us a couple hours.
Yeah, I figured that you can talk about that a long time. Uh, well, I thought this would be kind of an interesting topic because I think all of us, turn functional items and presents for family and everything else. And I got the idea from two different things. I'll show the first one at the beginning, and I'll show the last one at the very end. We had a demonstration, remote demonstration, and Chuck, you sent me his name again. The last name was Cook.
Yeah, Nick Cook.
Nick Cook, that made about, um, I guess what, 20 different things in about an hour and a half. And it was kind of
Yeah.
interesting. And one of the things he made, and I don't have this on a photo, so I'll put it here, was simply a salt shaker. And it was a salt shaker with no holes. And so it was, how did it work? And he showed it has a little cone at the bottom. That cone goes up inside. And if I shake this, I'll get salt all over my computer. And when you just have it upside right like this, the salt falls around the cone, little holes at the top, so it doesn't spill all over. Well, I thought that was a very interesting idea. And so let me see if I can share screen here. So I modified it a little bit. Does everybody see that? Is it the mushroom?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
We've all done these mushrooms. They're easy. I do them because I have leftover mesquite that's just hanging around, and I turned that into a salt shaker. So the
Wow.
cone is on the bottom of it. I used a little piece of sycamore, and unfortunately, with this one, I struggled a little bit with drilling the hole, so it's a tiny bit larger. You really only want an 1/8 inch drill hole through that. I'm going to see if I can, let me get you another picture, get rid of that one. Here comes the share again. Okay, there we go. So this, there it is, shows you the bottom. And you can see some salt hanging around here from where it went out. But that's just an 1/8 inch hole going up into that cone. And these are so easy to make. I've showed this to a couple of people, and you know what followed. Make
Yeah.
me one. And I remember Nick Cook's advice. Does anybody remember his advice about the restaurant that ordered 100?
Yeah, don't do it because they'll be stolen.
They'll be stolen. I love that comment. He said they won't last a day.
Yeah.
Everybody put them in their pocket and walk away with them. So anyway, that's one of the things that kind of gave me an idea to get started with this today. And so we had a number of people throwing some offerings, and I'll start here. There's Bob. You sent the first one in.
Before you move off of that one,
Yep.
Bruce, you have to be careful about how much salt you fill in that thing, right?
You do. But what I found you can do is you turn it upside down, and you can fill the cone with salt. Just tap it a little bit, and it'll stop. Turn it sideways, tap it, or about 45 degrees so you don't spill, tap it, and the rest of the salt will go in. Fill it again, and keep doing that. And the salt goes off to the side. And when this is empty and you put it this way, all the salt will lay out. And if you just very gently do this so the salt doesn't go back and clog the hole, you can put a fair amount in that'll last, oh gosh, I fill this, it'll last weeks.
But if you do that, don't you have to stop at the top of the funnel that you put on the bottom? Because if you fill it totally with salt, doesn't it just run out the hole?
No, it can't, because once you get to that point, it just simply won't fill anymore. You
Well, I
cannot
think-
No.
fill it.
When
You
you
I
cannot
think the
stand
key
it on the
points.
table.
Yeah, you can't
No.
overfill it above where the point of the cone is. And above the cone, very importantly, you need about a 1/2 inch Forstner bit hole, about a 1/2 inch is all, that allows, when you're shaking it up and down, the salt goes up into that little 1/2 inch hole and then falls into the 1/8 inch drill hole and comes out the bottom. But you
Yeah, I
cannot
think I think the key thing, the point that Bruce may be missing is that there is a column inside that shaker, Bruce. And I mean, when you look at the bottom of that shaker, it looks like there's just a hole going into the bottom of the salt shaker, but it's not. It's going up through a tube, let's say. And the tube is a 1/2 inch from the top of the cavity that Bruce drilled into.
Got it.
All right, that's the
this
difference.
Got it.
Does that show up? This is what it looks like. The outside lines are the salt shaker, and that cone is inside the salt shaker with an 1/8 inch hole drilled through it.
Yeah, and my part, you can't fill salt above where the top of that cone
Right.
is, right?
Because the salt comes all down into the side here and sits here.
Right.
So when you shake it, you have this 1/2 inch area up here that as you shake upward, the salt all goes up into that, and then just a little bit of it falls into that hole.
Gotcha.
And it seemed to me the first time I ever made one of these, that an 1/8 inch hole again was not big enough. So I made it 3/16. I was wrong. An 1/8 inch hole was just fine. So if you'd like some really salty food, come on over and I'll use this very first one that I built. It's too salty.
And as a cardiologist, you recommend that people don't use salt.
I recommend you actually use a 1/16 inch diameter just to be in compliance with my profession. That'll keep me out of trouble with the AMA.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it'd be interesting to find other ways of finding tools. By the way, when I did make this one, I did not make the insides out of mesquite just because of all the wormholes. You'd have salt going everywhere. So that's why I put sycamore in the center.
Very cool.
Okay.
I like the variation on a theme.
Yeah, I just have a whole bunch of mesquite from whenever we trim our mesquite trees, and there's plenty to make little toys with. All right, Bob,
Yes.
that was yours.
All right. Well, what is more functional for us woodturners than a handle for a tool? Actually, at one of the meetings, I had won a Carter and Sons wood handle adapter, and you can see it attached. And I just decided I'll take a piece of ash and turn it into a handle that's very functional and did the job for me, and it seems to work great. I did also order a 3/4 inch gouge, and this fits perfectly into the handle adapter, although you can get sleeves for smaller diameter gouges, but it turned out good, I think.
What is the attachment point up here?
There is a 5/8 sleeve that goes 5/8 diameter sleeve that goes down into the wood. And then there's also a small 1.25 inch connection at the top where the neck is. And that's resined into place, and it holds very firm.
So you're just drilling a 5/8 inch hole, what, 1.5 inches deep?
2.5 actually in
Two
this
and a half.
case.
So it's pretty solid.
Yeah. So that goes in, and then once I applied, that was a tight fit to begin with, and then once I applied the resin, it definitely solid as a rock.
And I wasn't aware that they sold that little adapter separately.
Right, right. And I kind of stole the design a little bit from Easy Woods, but it works good for me.
How did you decide on the length?
Well, since I was going with a 3/4 inch, um, it's called a wood beater gouge, and it was pretty heavy duty, so I figured I better have something that's going to be hold up well. And that was almost 16-inch in length. And I
This is
kind of took it
16.
off of the other existing handles.
Yeah, that's nice.
Better than paying $50 or $60 for their aluminum handles.
And probably more comfortable.
Yes, it is. It is indeed. Thank you.
Any questions at all, or? We had another, I'll just do this one next. It's Dick, this is the picture you sent me.
Oh my gosh. Dick, you're on mute. Dick,
You're
you're
on
on
mute.
mute.
You're on mute, Dick.
There, that should
There we
work.
go.
Okay, this is a set of handles I made in my very first wood turning class over at Yavapai. We're talking many years ago. Spence was still thinking about whether or not he might want to take up wood turning when I
Oh
was
my
doing
gosh.
these. And uh, and the project was to make make a functional item. And so I had a set of small uh, wood turning gouges that were unhandled. And so I decided to make these handles. Uh, they're much smaller than Bob's. These are a foot in length because the whole things are small. Uh, yeah, here's one of them. I have them down in my shop, uh, and I just turned them because I was over at school. I was able to use a tool they have over there, which is a horizontal drill press to get the holes drilled in, and that helped quite a bit to get the holes along the center line of the blanks. And I didn't have a a dedicated thing to put in the top of the gouge to feed the shanks into. So I just after I drilled the hole, I just put a 5-inch piece of copper tubing from the plumbing shop around the handle to be the ferrule and hold the keep the tip from splitting. And where is it? One of the oh, okay. Eventually they've fallen off. I should have glued them on. This is one that shows just the wooden ferrule on it. And just glued the whole thing in with epoxy glue, and that's it. That's my functional uh, my functional item that I've ever turned.
I need to interrupt for a moment. Bruce, would you admit Susan, she had to leave and go back in, please?
Uh, hang on just a second. Okay, there she is.
There
Susan,
she
you're
is.
back?
All right.
Okay. I'm sorry, Dick, are you saying that's the only functional piece you've ever made?
Pretty much. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of you have made. I may get some ideas. Uh, I made the other handle for a larger uh, gouge, and I think you've all seen that. Uh, it's the Diamondback handle, um, and I made it the same way. Just drill a hole into a piece of wood um, and take the gouge and just put it into the handle. That's and I've shown this before at Chips and Grits, so y'all have probably seen it. It's this one that goes down, and
And that's carved?
yeah, that's carved. Actually, more than turned. I turned the bottom so that first, but then I just cut the shape out on the bandsaw and carved it.
You know, other than the head of that, I wonder if you could eccentrically turn the whole body.
You probably could if you knew what you were doing. I didn't have that advantage.
One question, is this hand, you see, is my arrow showing up, everybody?
Yeah,
Yes.
Is this comfortable? And I can't remember the term. This is not technically a bead. What is the term for this when there's a term for it. I can't remember it. Is that comfortable on your hand?
it's okay. I don't use these for anything. Again, they're very small, and I don't have to use them with a tight grip. I just use them to put little indentations in when I'm uh, I'm doing the turning. So it's not like I have to really hold on to these tightly. I just did them for the design as much as anything else.
And you don't worry
Actually,
about,
they come in handy because I just did a wig stand with that design on it. Uh,
you
and
don't
I'll
worry
probably
about the
do another
ferrules
one
not,
next Wednesday.
yeah, I'm sorry,
Pardon
you
me?
don't worry about the ferrules not being on it?
Well, they really should be on it. I don't use them that often. And the one that I use is the one that still has the
Has
ferrule
it
on it.
on.
So,
Okay.
and I went over to yeah, for purposes of this demonstration, I didn't want to have them without without the copper containment. So I went over to True Value and got some to put on them and got the wrong size. So so there they are.
All right. Any questions? Yeah, those are nice and interesting. Thank you. We can go back to let's see. Um, we're going to be entering into a lamp series here. Jim, I'll start with yours.
Okay.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's the lamp we've had and I've used for 20 years. I made this when I took the turning course at the college. And finished everything there, and I've used it ever since. Every day, my reading lamp.
Is it
It's-
hollow all the way through?
Pardon me?
Is it hollow all the way through?
No, the base is, I glued some, it's made out of cypress and walnut. And unfortunately, the walnut pieces that don't show real good on there's 4 of them around it. But I took the cypress in the center portions. I had, it's tall enough a lamp where I had to, I couldn't drill it. At least at the time, I didn't have equipment or anything to do it with. So I routed a channel in the center of it before I glued the boards together for the center portion in there, which you don't see at all. And then I just got little round holes at the top where we put the bulb fixture in there and that, and in the bottom to run the cord out and so forth. But you can't really see. It's like on here on the sides. These are they go up like this here, kind of around. There's 4 of these on one each side.
Of this here?
Walnut pieces here. These are
Yeah,
walnut.
that's that piece right there. Yeah, I
It
can see it
doesn't-
on this side too.
It doesn't show real good here, but it comes up kind of like this here around, and, kind of like this here. And I love the lamp. I think it really looks nice, but that's my opinion.
How many layers does this have, Jim?
Pardon me?
How many layers does this have?
I'm not sure anymore. I did it 20 years ago, and my old memory is can't remember. I had some pretty thick pieces of cypress, so I'm going to say I think I only maybe had maybe 3 of them or 4 of them glued together at such. I'm just guessing right now. I don't remember. You say I was
But
telling.
just with
Oh.
routing, you were able to center the lamp rod?
Pardon me?
Just with routing, channel, the lamp
yeah.
rod is centered?
Yeah, all the way through, like this part up top of here is where the bulb fixture goes. That's a round hole there.
Right, yeah, you could just barely see the
About
top of the,
here, all the way down here. There's a slot routed in through the center of it for the cord and that to go feed it through.
okay, it's gorgeous.
So, I should took the shade off it, and you kind of see the top a little better. But it's the bottom also is got a walnut outside of it, and this is a piece of cypress in here. There, it's the 2 color woods go real good together, I think.
Yeah, and actually, I like the proportions as well. I've had a miserable time in some of my lamps getting the proportions of the base right to the lampshade, and I didn't make pictures of those. I could show you pictures of ones that are horribly proportioned, but this is nicely proportioned.
Yeah, it's a pretty tall lamp. I have to go out and measure it now to even remember how tall it was, but it sits at the table. It's nice. I mean, I can sit there and read sit in my chair and read, and when that's on, and it gives me light right where I want it.
Okay. Questions for Jim?
What's that?
Oh, I just said, are there any questions for you?
Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll go on. I'm gonna show a couple of mine next because I don't want to go after Chuck's.
Oh, stop.
I kind of got into lamps myself, and I learned a long time ago, when you cook, make the recipe exactly the way it is the first time, then alter it. So this is from AAW magazine, and I tried to make it as exactly as I could. I learned a lot of lessons. Like Jim was saying, this is just a bedside lamp, but it's 32 inches tall. And when I was making it, I thought it's way too tall, but actually we have matching ones on each side, and it's the right size, 32 inches. It's a really good size for it. This is sycamore from my front yard. This was walnut on both sides. And one of the lessons I learned is you can go to AEW magazine and put in lamp, and you'll come to this. It's a really nice discussion. This was relatively easy because these smaller pieces, I put them in a clamp and used a drill press, mainly because I wasn't thinking very well. And then I realized the better way to do it is with a Jacob's chuck on the lathe, much better way. It's a 1/2 inch hole drilled through all of this with a 3/8 inch lamp rod, which you can get in kits. You just have to make sure that the hole here in the base is not 1/2 inch, it's 3/8 inch. And the threads on the lamp rod screw right in. And this thing is so solid. This one is glued. These are out in New York, so I make them in Arizona, and I was going, how do I get it to New York? I had to glue it there and just hope for the best. Now I realize you don't have to glue these connections at all, because once you put the lamp rod on and the nut on it up here and tighten it down, they're as solid as they're going to get. And if you ever decide to come back, you can change pieces. Let's go to. So anyway, that got me thinking about doing different things. So I started playing with different woods. This is the same 3-piece design, but I started putting little shelves in them. Again, you can see the lamp rod coming out here, and there's a locking washer and a nut on top of that. And so that was just zebra, walnut, and I believe these are sycamore again, and that's bubinga. And then I thought I'd take it a step further. With the remote demo we had. So I made a triple Celtic cross. And the problem I had with this one is it's not in 3 segments. And so drilling a hole became a real problem. This is 12 inches. Drilling a hole became kind of a little bit of a nightmare. And that's when I finally woke up and realized I could do a much better job on the lathe. And so I used some like 4-inch, 1/4-inch drills just to get a pathway started, and then used a 12-inch, 1/2-inch drill bit. And what I found is it was still off a little bit. The holes did not perfectly align, but because it's a 1/2-inch hole with a 3/8 inch lamp rod, it slid through no problem. And I just pretended the problem did not exist. And so I went to and this is the finished lamp.
Hmm.
So
Very
it
nice.
worked out really well. I really love this Celtic cross idea. It turned out it was not, it's just time consuming to get it made. As Murphy's Law tells us, sorry, Susan, I made all these cuts in all the different size and had to glue them and wait 24 hours and flip it 90 degrees and do it. I was on the very last saw cut here, did it, put the uh, piece in, glued it, clamped it, and the whole thing broke right there. And luckily, it did not break all the way. I was kind of like I'm sorry, for my profession, it's a green stick fracture. And so I was able to clamp it back up and turn it just a little bit smaller, and none of it showed. I got very lucky on that one. The one thing the article, I will tell you, does not do very well is you have to figure out your lamp rod and you have to take into account all this stuff up here. So I finally I have a model on a piece of paper so that I know if I have a lamp rod 14 inches, usually I have to just subtract 2 inches. I lose ½ inch of lamp rod going into the base, and you need about 1.5 inches up here, and then it works out real well. Let's see. I think that was all. So I'm going to go to Chuck's lamp
Well,
now.
before you go, I
Yep.
just want to mention I thought your Celtic knots are incredible. I bet people look at that and go, "How the heck did you do that?" Because the variation and overlap, and there's just no way to figure that out. I'm really impressed.
Well, I actually have to give credit to a friend of mine. He works more with a table saw. He doesn't do any lathe work. And he came over to my house, and sadly, he's a surgeon. He got on the lathe, and I was convinced he was going to kill himself. After 5 or 6 days, all he was making was rolling pins. I had to sit with him every time of going, "You're going to kill yourself before this is over." But he made me a jig that I could put the 2 inch square on, and very accurately, you had to cut it. And then I had to cut it just a half a kerf wider to be able to fit 1/8 inch slats in there. And so he had a jig with bulldogs on it that clamped it down tight. And once I had that, it just went really fast.
Beautiful.
Let's see, Chuck. Okay, I'll start. Chuck, I'm impressed.
All right. These are cottonwood um, from the wood that we cut, or Bob Zimmerman and I got along Coyote Springs Road. And these were requested by my son and daughter-in-law in Colorado. And they just said they wanted some wooden shades over their breakfast table. And I made a prototype and he said, "Yep, that's what we want." And then I made these three additional ones. Um, Cottonwood, I just was blown. I think this is the first time I ever turned cottonwood, and I was just blown away by the quality and the character in the wood. Um, the escutcheons at the ceiling are also cottonwood. Um, the material used to hang them was a kit of three lights that all hung the same length with that jute covering the cord, and just I adapted it to fit inside. So I had to drill a hole inside to hold the light holder itself, and then the length was adjusted on the large circle, there's a lot of routed out area on the top side of that panel to get the cords to all work with the right lengths, and we adjusted them at installation because I didn't know what it was going to be until I got there as to what the lengths were going to be and which one went where, and we rotated it. And the cool thing about the cottonwood is the cracks cast some very interesting shadow and light that you see much better when it's dark.
Is that a
Uh,
crack right there?
yeah.
Yeah.
There's cracks on all of them. Um, and we purposely had them point in kind of different directions so that they gave some nice shadows and light on different parts of the room.
And those are not filled in, the
Nope,
cracks. Yeah,
nope,
they're
just
just,
left them natural.
yeah.
And it's amazing how much light. I was thinking being a solid shade, they wouldn't cast a lot of light, but they really do. Um, and obviously for a table, you kind of want more of a direct light. And so it worked out great. They had no light there at all. So there was quite a challenge getting the wire. There's um, their pantry is on that door you see there goes into their pantry. So I was able to do some um, drilling from the pantry side to get that um, the wire. And then there's a switch on the wall actually that controls them. So it was definitely some challenging getting it installed.
When you say it was
Are
routed
those
out, is,
LED lights? Chuck, are those LED lights?
No, I don't. Oh, they might be. They're a decorative light. I know. That's why there's kind of a nice color. They actually, I think they're those lights that um, you can see the filament. I think they call them Edison lights. You can see the
Yeah.
filament in them.
Do they generate heat?
No, no, they're very decorative and they don't generate heat, or just minimal heat, I should say.
when you were talking about routing things out, were you routing out these upper pieces just to hold the excess cord?
No, it was above the MDF. Um, I don't know what you call that, a scutcheon.
In
Um,
the MDF itself is where you,
yes, on the top side of that is where I've routed out. Um, I mounted a electrical box in the ceiling, and then there were routed out areas on the top of that MDF, and that's a double sheet of MDF to give it some. I think it's like an inch and a half thick to give it some bulk, and gave me plenty of room to run the wires to the electrical box. And the way we set it up is it all can be taken apart very easily. So that the actual weight of the light is being held on the top side. Those escutcheons, the cottonwood escutcheons at the ceiling are being held by a decorative nut that can be undone, and those can slide down. Um, I'm not exactly sure. I think it was to make the installation work. Um, but actually, now come to think of it, I did it so that it was going to make it easier for him to paint that MDF once it was installed. So that was why I did it that way. Those just slide down very easily.
well, I think they are absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. So where do we get cottonwood?
Um,
Somewhere around with branches falling?
no, they're actually, I was thinking about I picked up a bunch and I think I still have more. But there is um, a house on Coyote Springs Road, just a quarter mile north of the mailboxes. And I was actually thinking about stopping to talk to him again because he's got a lot of standing dead cottonwood along the side of the road. Thinking, let's take some more. So I'll try to get some and bring them to a meeting.
No, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
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 Hang on just a second. Rick Davis is going to join us here.
Yay.
All right. Any other questions? Yeah, I wondered about that light too and heat, but there's, between LEDs and those Edison lights, that's a great solution for it to stop the heat.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, the other thing is you have a dynamic structure because it would continue to crack and give you more light as the days went on.
Yeah. It was pretty dry, so I don't know if it was going to crack anymore, but um, if it, you're right, if it did, um, the one thing that bothered me when I made those was that they weren't identical. But now that I look at it, I go, well, I think that kind of gives it some charm, the fact that they're not identical.
All right. I'm going to go back to a couple of my pictures. Fairly obvious what they are. This is something I made over at YC as I was starting. And the thing, these two glasses, they're about 3.5 inches. They're meant to be whiskey glasses. They taught me is I learned how to finally hollow things out without getting catches. I had more catches because I didn't know what I was doing, and then had to go in and fix them and fix them and fix them. So they got fairly thin walls, but they turned out very nice. And then I finished them with walnut oil and let them sit for about a month to really fully cure. And it's interesting that they actually impart just a little bit of a wood taste to whiskey. And so a friend of mine has one of them and he actually uses it all the time. I don't really use mine. It's more decorative, but they were a lot of fun to make just real quick out of a little bit of walnut. And I show these. Let me get to, because I'm going to cheat just a little bit here and go to an internet picture. This intrigued me that I've got to make to put right next to that glass. And this is a turned piece.
Oh, wow.
And I believe that, they just painted these bands silver. It's amazing little keg. I don't think it would be that difficult to turn, and I'm making the assumption that it's solid. Can't swear to that, but I certainly wouldn't want to make this piece. But I just had to show this that I saw it, that somebody came up with turning.
So you don't think those are metal bands? Those are painted
I think
silver?
they're painted because this was all a turned element. I won't swear to it, but I can see how
Oh,
you could easily make them
oh,
look faux metal
yeah, sure.
with what you do.
Well, when you get to do that and you need some laser work done, I know someone you can call.
Fantastic, thank you. And just real quick, I'll throw this up here. This goes back to give proper credit where credit's due. This was the article out of AAW for that salt shaker. And it's by Keith Gottschall, was actually the originator or first person to publish it. And then Nick Cook demonstrated it to us. And I don't think the dates, I just put in salt shaker and the AEW search for the magazine, and that came up. But a very nice discussion of how to size all those pieces and what you can do. Right. Let's see if we have.
It's interesting, Bruce. I monitored Nick Cook's demonstration at the symposium last year, and there were a lot of questions from the internet participants about how it was done. So I had to interrupt him to ask him, and he did a drawing just like you did on the whiteboard, multiple pieces later to explain it, because I think people were scratching their heads saying, how does that thing work? And so he had to go back and do a drawing just like you did.
It is kind of magic.
It
Once,
is.
once you see the drawing, you get it. But it is kind of magic when your guests come and they can't figure out how to get salt out of it. I think
Yeah.
Nick he has a tough sense of humor. He
Oh, yeah.
drilled three little tiny holes and painted them black on the top that did not go through. They didn't do anything. And so, you turn this thing upside down, you can shake for a year and a half and nothing's going to come out of it. And they would
Right.
say it's empty, and then he would just shake it and he would do it.
Yeah.
I have just two other things, just because these were fun to do, and I used this as a demo over at the courthouse. This is a piece of apricot filled in, just a rolling pin. But I made one, and I made the mistake of showing it to family members, and then I made about 8 of them. And this was what the friend of mine who's the surgeon, he wanted to make. That he has a friend who runs a restaurant, and she wanted one, and then all of her workers wanted one. So he was over here forever, trying to kill himself, making 10 of these.
Wow.
And unfortunately, he was so new to it, he didn't really understand how to put the epoxy in. And he tried to make hot glue dams to put them in. And we had a hot glue mess everywhere. But I finally told him that's as many as you get. And then the last picture I have this morning is another reason why I said consider functional pieces. I got a little bit of a shot. Forgive me, that's the wrong picture. Here it is. I frequently work down in Phoenix with a business called Family Arts Needleworks. And they do predominantly needlepoint. These are needlepoint canvases in the back. And I talked to the owner, Julie, who's just a wonderful person. It's actually a 501c3. She's the only employee, and she has 25 volunteers to run this. And in some ways, she kind of reminds me of the club. Every one of them acts as a mentor. And these are laying tools. Does everybody know what a laying tool is? So as you're pulling a piece of fiber yarn, oftentimes they'll have 3 or 4 ply. And if you just take your needle and put it down through the canvas, it can get twisted and kind of knotted, and it does not look good at all. So you hold one of these in your left hand and you loop the thread over this, pull your needle down on the other side, and then simply by lifting it up and down, it aligns the 4 plies perfectly, and it completely fills in the canvas and gives it a very professional look. Well, I started, Julie said, do you know anybody who could make these? And I said, well, I could make them. And I started, and I just kind of got addicted. And the reason I got addicted is, as I'm sure all of you can tell, this is all scrap. You can certainly make them out of pen blanks, though pen blanks are a little short. Pen blanks are 5.5 inches. I found the optimal length of these is 6 inches to 6.5. And then I make them different diameters for different hands. It's amazing how people will come up, 95% women, and they'll find their favorite one. This is, if I can, that is the end of a pen blank I chopped off. I mean, anybody who's made pens, you've got 30 of these sitting in a bucket somewhere, or you just threw them in the trash can. These are just super glued onto the wood. And I was a little concerned about how solid that adherence would be. So I made one of these and then I purposefully broke it. They're pretty solid. The way they're used, I suppose if you dropped it off a table on a hard surface, it theoretically might break, but they're all fairly solid. For those of you who might be interested, Julie, she had 20 of them, and I said, it's just scrap wood. I don't pay anything for this. I'll just give them to you. She says, no, I have to pay you for it. And she eventually, I took a store credit. She insisted on $20 each.
No.
They sell them for $40 to $70. She is looking for anybody interested. If we would say we're interested in making these from our scrap, she will go to vendors who go to other needlepoint stores. There's 4 in the Phoenix area, and have the vendors solicit use for them. So if you have any interest, give me a call. I'll talk to you about it. I just took 10 down to her yesterday, but I gave them to her for free and said, I want you to give them to your volunteers who are all expert needlepointers. And the payment they owe me is an email back giving me feedback on how they are. You can see some of these have a fairly, I'll call it a fat point. Some have a fairly thin point. I did a number of these smaller ones, but they tend to be prone to breaking. And if you're paying that much money for it, breaking is not an option. This size and this size seem to be optimal. So if anybody has interest in taking care of your scrap, every time I cut a piece of wood off I can't use, I'm going, hey, that's 3/4 inch square. There's another laying tool. All right.
I think they're really, really beautiful, and I love the variety, but I'm thinking maybe just building on something you already said, that the one that someone selects is not necessarily based upon how it looks, but how it felt.
Yeah, well, both is true. I had, let's see, I think I might have a picture of a different set. Let me just see real quick. This might just be turned on its side. Yeah, it's just turned on its side. I started having fun with it. Here's a laminated, because these were only 1/4 inch. I had some scrap from 1/4 inch. So I just glued them together. I started then taking ones and putting acrylic in the center and offsetting them. It was just kind of fun for doing crazy stuff, sitting in front of a TV when you're bored. They're just like a pen. They're simple to sand right on the lathe. They come off the lathe. These are all treated with tung oil, so the owners of them can just re-oil them, whenever they want. They don't have a polyethylene finish or anything, or acrylic or lacquer finish. Any questions? We have 2 minutes left. So I'll show one more picture. This is not my work, and this is not off the net. I found this in Quebec, Canada. This guy was a beautiful turner. He's a carpenter and makes these phenomenal chairs and stuff, but he also makes these beautiful lamps. And he was saying that this is aspen, though the bark does not quite look right unless it's treated. And he would make these so thin, just like you did, Chuck, that the light shines right through the wood. And I have no idea. He had to have routed, you can't even tell how he put the cord down through that thing. But this beautiful aspen shade for a functional piece was just phenomenal. And he had probably 7 or 8 of these around the shop. And I can't imagine he didn't have others that self-destructed while he was making them. Okay, stop share.
I am intrigued by how he got that wire through that.
I've looked at it and looked at it, and I cannot figure it out.
Was there a seam?
No, I can't find a seam.
Oh, so
And
you do own that piece?
yeah, oh yeah, I bought that one.
Oh,
Said
okay.
I can't, I've got to have that one.
Yeah. Wow.
So
Bruce,
So,
you think that was steam bent? He could have drilled through a straight piece and then used some steam to bend it into that curve after the hole was drilled.
you don't think that would break?
I don't have any experience doing it. I just know steam bending works for some people.
Yeah.
Bruce, I do have one thing to share.
Okay.
I didn't send a picture, obviously, because anyway, this is a wooden mallet that I turned quite some time, about 40 years ago. I really didn't know what I was doing. I had a shopsmith and I was just self-teaching what I was doing. And anyway, the point of showing this is unknowingly, I turned the pith. Um, I didn't know that pith was going to be cracking like it did. So it sat around my workshop for a long, long time, and I didn't use it because of this huge crack here. So after I got into the resin scene, I decided I'm gonna fix this. So I did. I just cut the head of the nut off and filled it with the cracks. Not only there, but I think there's one other place right over in here that had cracks in it. Um, so to make it functional, I decided, well, put the resin in there. Took I cut this used to be a little longer and longer there and longer lengthways. So I put it back on the lathe after I put the resin in and then made it round again and then drilled a new hole in the head and put the handle back in. So this I finished this probably a couple of years ago. To make it functional. So this is my one functional piece that I made it usable now. So anyway,
And Mark, what function do you serve with that?
bang, bang, bang,
Okay.
but yeah, so it worked and using resin, no surprise there. So um, this is alligator juniper. And as we all know, alligator juniper has propensity to crack. I didn't know when I was turning this 40 years ago that it was going to crack on me um, in the pith section. So that was it.
You know, like that rolling pin that Bruce showed earlier, I think using the dark resin in those cracks, when you first glance at them, it looks like there's still a void. So I like the fact that you're using the dark on
Well,
that.
thank you.
Yeah.
It is a contrast and makes it a little more striking, a little more
Yeah.
interesting. So it worked to fix it because for about 30 some.
I have a quick comment about that lamp with the curved section,
Yes.
about how that might have been done. Um, there is a process that makes a product called comp wood, which is short for compressed wood. And when you bend wood, you've got wood fibers, and just the way it comes, if you bend it, the fibers just crack and separate like that. But what Compwood does is it compresses the fibers in from the end in a big press. And when the fibers are compressed in, they'll just curve around. And they developed the process for making bowback Windsor chairs up in Maine. And the factory eventually relocated to Gig Harbor, Washington. It's hard to find this stuff because it's made in very limited runs. But I'm thinking that the uh, the piece for that lamp could have been done straight in Compwood and then bent. And I have a piece of it here. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but the teacher who I had when I first started, she used it in her work. And this is wood. This is just comp wood, which you put it in heated water to relax the fibers a little bit. And then you can, let's see, oh, there it is. And then you can just bend it around like this. This is a much smaller piece, but as I say, they do it for bowback chairs for the rounded tops and the bowback Windsor chairs. So it works with larger pieces too. And you don't have to be steaming it and stuff like that. Other than just kind of warming it up with warm water, it's a cold process. So that's a product that is out there, and it could have been used to make that lamp. That's all I got.
Interesting.
Bruce, I got one thing here, if I can take a minute. This is a
Rick, while you're
segment.
talking, I've got to just step away for just a second. So go ahead.
Okay, this is a vase or a urn that I made that I didn't really like too much, and Jamie says, "Well, why don't you make a lamp out of it?"
Oh, jeez.
So I did.
That is so cool
That's
and nicely presented.
What's that?
I like the way you kind of presented that and fooled us. Very cool.
Yeah.
In case you guys are interested, Compwood is located in Denmark. Actually is compwood.com. So it'll be interesting to do a little more research on that. Thanks for sharing that, Dick, because that looks like fun.
So I have a question for Rick. So that vase or that you turned there, how thick is the walls on the inside of that?
Well, the neat part about it is you didn't have to finish the inside. Nobody's ever going to see it, so
Okay.
you can see it's still not turned on the inside. But it came out pretty neat. It's an upside down urn, but for a lamp, it works great. And then Jamie says, "Well, you got to make another one." And I say, "Nah, I don't think so."
Well, I like how you followed up with that and made it good.
Yeah, that's very clever.
Sorry, I missed the beginning of your session here. I had to go to the eye doctor this morning, and well, I'm just glad I got back for a little bit at a time. So, speaking of eyes, how's yours doing, Ken?
Mine's on the mend. I hope you don't have the same problem I had.
No, this is just a yearly checkup to make sure I can still see.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Let me ask for suggestions on topics to prepare for next time. One of the topics I was thinking about was what I call altered bowls. I also do ceramics, and I have a wonderful friend down in Phoenix that she and I challenge each other all the time of making a beautiful bowl or a vase as it's a finished product, and then cutting it apart and putting it back together in unusual ways. It's a hard thing to do because you've got a nice product, it's finished. I had the opportunity to do it recently with wood because I was trying to figure out how to do this in wood turning, and I had a piece go flying off the lathe, and it broke. And so it broke so cleanly along grain lines that I thought, well, I got to be able to put it back together, and I'll just try this as a very simplistic one. So I'll just show you. So there's my bowl, and there's what happened to it, and just gluing it back together. And so I'm going to try to take this now and cut it up into different pieces, and again, putting it back together in artistic manners. Ceramics is a little bit easier because the clay is a little more malleable to what we do. But I know there's got to be a way of doing this with wood, and that's my first attempt, though I never would have broken that on purpose. It's a very hard thing to have a nice piece done like that and then break it. And I would suggest sawing it rather than breaking it unless you really want irregular segments. That would be one potential topic. The other would be, we talked about photo processes last time, of actually taking photographs of interesting processes of that burled bowl. Chuck, did you get your burled bowl made with the hot glue? You talked last month you were going to do it. You said you have the perfect piece of burl.
I don't remember.
We'll have to go back to the video recording and see. Yeah.
A burled bowl.
Yeah, to show that. Any other thoughts on topics that you'd like to discuss, or pictures, see, idea prep, or?
I think one thing that you could do, Bruce, is go back and look at topics that were done a while ago, and
I
let's
have
revisit them.
I have a full list. We can repeat.
Good.
We can do, basic methodologies, finishing, sanding, things like that. Just have a discussion if you'd like. That wouldn't require pictures.
Yep.
I think it's a good idea to revisit some of those subjects because some of us, kind of forget what we did, and also we have some new members, so it's a good idea.
Just so you know, I've separately emailed new members over the past year. Dave kindly gave me the last 12 months of new members. We're still not getting them to this meeting. So if you have a chance to talk with them at the meeting in person, kind of talk it up. I'd love to see some of the new members get here. All right, well, I'll choose something from the old bag of tricks for next month.
Well, I think your topic of turning something and then taking it apart is definitely an interesting one as well.
Why don't you think about that, and maybe we'll do that 2 months from now to give people a chance to think about it and be willing to alter something. But it does get to be very fun to play with. I don't have my friend Diane Niehoff. She actually sells around the state some beautiful pieces. And when you really look at them and realize how she's taken them apart and put them back together, it's quite amazing.
The Japanese have a term for that, where they embellish broken things and, reassemble.
Yeah, don't they put them back together with like gold?
Yes.
Yeah. So gold.
Yeah. So
I can't remember. I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the name of it, but
yeah,
it's a
I'll find out
specific
next
repair.
week. I'll find out next week. But they talk about the beauty in the imperfection.
Right. All right, everyone.
I have a question for Dick Kelly. In the background of your picture, there's a lamp. Is that a floor lamp or a table lamp? And you're muted.
That's a floor lamp. I can't remember exactly where we got it. Yeah, and you can't exactly see it there.
Wow.
But yeah, it's a walnut floor lamp. It's very nice.
If anybody is interested in doing a floor lamp like that with a table about, I don't know, 14 inches in diameter in the middle of it, makes a very nice lamp for a chair where you don't have room for a table.
Yeah.
Gives you a place to, Spence, they give you a place to set your beer and it wouldn't take up a lot of space.
Yeah, and I made the table too. That was a project in the flat work class where I found out about compwood. The lady who taught it, her name is Tanya Rada. She's a one-time very good turner. Unfortunately, she got interested in dressage, and that's her passion now. She occasionally will show up at the AEW symposiums and stuff, but that's yeah, that's her. Actually, I have a piece of, yeah, this is the piece that she did with the comp wood. I bought a piece, and that shows the artistic approach she took with it. So that's it for me. Thanks for asking, Dave.
Bruce, the term is kintsugi for the Japanese. Yeah, Kintsugi. Kintsugi.
If anybody's interested in the floor table lamp or making, turned ones, if you're interested in making them, I took a couple of pictures to send to you, Bruce, but I did not get around to sending them. So I do have pictures of it, and I'd be happy to send to anybody if they're interested in making one.
Dave, send it to me. I'd love to see it.
Okay, and another point, when you're drilling spindles, in other words, all of your lamp parts that we've been talking about, if you try drilling that, even on the lathe or on the drill press or whatever, if you try drilling that with a regular twist drill, it doesn't go straight. And you can get them to go a lot straighter if you use, I can't think of the name of it now, but the bit with the point on it.
The spade bit?
Brad point?
Brad point.
Brad point. Oh, okay.
Point. And when I was making the ones that were like 3 feet, where I was having to drill 3 feet, I drill in from one end and then I drill in from the other end with the brad point, and they came pretty darn close. And then you can ream it out if you just take a standard twist drill and run down through the hole, and where the two don't quite match where they meet, you can drill it out so you can get the lamp rod in, the 3/8 brass threaded rod.
Okay.
How long of a brad point did you have, Dave?
Well, a standard brad point is what, 6 inches?
And you go in from each
take
end.
a piece of cold rolled steel as long as you want and weld it to the end of it. You need to be careful to center it up, but it's pretty easy to do. It's not a real chore.
If you have a welder.
Dave, instead of
Yeah.
running that rod all the way through that lamp, couldn't you just put some threaded inserts at the top to secure that bail down?
When I was a little boy and making these things, I was selling lamps. And it's been late years ago, but I experimented with a lot of different ways of doing that. And I ended up, I was selling them in a furniture store. So they were pretty particular about how well they lasted and did not like things returned. I did not make, I got to the point where I would not make a lamp without the rod. The rod holds the socket in the top securely, and you can tighten it from the bottom. So it keeps everything nice and straight and secure. So I didn't make any lamps without that. And I made lots and lots of lamps.
Dave, is that a single rod? So it's like 4 feet, 5 feet long?
Yeah, in fact, if you need some, Bruce, I'll check. I think I still have some.
Well, send
They're
me the
probably
pictures.
about,
Yeah, I'd be interested in thinking about making that, but send me the pictures so I know what I'm getting involved with, and I might play with that.
well, if you wouldn't be as involved as you already involved with the lamps you've made. They're simple. I'll
Okay.
send you some. I've got two pine ones here left over. I had a duplex also that I made all the furniture for, and I made some lamps for that. Made lots of lamps, bedside lamps, living room lamps, decorative, ugly, everything. So I'll send you some pictures. I already took the pictures. I just didn't send them. Took more effort than I had yesterday. We had Zoom problems yesterday, so shortened my day a little bit.
Can't imagine having problems with Zoom. Jeez.
Yeah, Chuck, I'm going to work on it, and I may give you a call here in a couple of days to do
Sure.
some testing so that we can get by this next time.
Yeah. Actually, I'm out of the country until 31st.
Okay. Do I need to send the host back to you in
Nope,
any way, or?
Nope, you're the host.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording right now, and so it should be recorded on my computer.